concerning the redistricting of the county commission and school board. I thought the county commission would be a little bit more contentious than it was. I thought the school board was going to be a smooth sailing. Anyway, it is, you know, the education of our children is probably one of the most important things that we as parents and we as a society do. And I understand the kinds of responses that we receive and the consternation that we face in trying to put forward a piece of legislation that satisfies all of the interested constituencies. But we need to ensure that we are being adults in this process, that we have no place for being unprofessional with one another, and we want to make sure that this process is as robust as it possibly can be, but also as professional as we can make it. I know that everyone in this delegation respects each member that sits here. We're all passionate about this issue, and hopefully the end result, we will have something that is great for DeKalb County. And so with that, I will pick up the ball where we left off. We had a bill, or we had a recommendation from the standing committee to go to 5 school board districts in DeKalb County. And we could not get 10 signatures on that document. It's my understanding also that someone put a motion on the table to talk about putting a 7 board member map out. We couldn't get a resolution on that. I understand that Representative Oliver would like to make a couple of comments here, so I will recognize her for that purpose.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I wanted to make a little report to this delegation based on a meeting that Representative Holcomb and I and Representative Benfield just attended with Senator Fran Millar, and I think several members of the school board were there also. This is the Amarillo Vista Parents Council meeting. And the topic obviously was redistricting and people's concern about redistricting and the importance of it. The real purpose of me bringing a report to y'all this morning is to give you an update on what Fran Millar and the Senate have done, just because it helped me sort of see various steps and various options that are going to be laid out to us as we move forward. Senator Miller introduced a bill last week which calls for a delay of the reduction of the school board from 9 to 7 until 2014. His bill allows the referendum to go forward, so the public could vote on whether they wish to reduce the size of the school board. And if the school board, if the citizens decided they wish to reduce the size from 9 to 14, then the implementation would be in, reduction would be in 2014 instead of 2012. I discussed this in a slightly different format with the chairman last week, and Representative Benfield and I have been, and the chairman have been discussing this as an option on the table. The option that we've been discussing on our side is slightly different than the option that the Senator Millar discussed, but it is an option for consideration. And I wanted to ask the chairman if it's true. I think it's true in terms of process that if we as a delegation did not take an action today, that we could deal with whatever Senate bill came forward and address our issues in relation to that. That would give us a little bit more time. I think that delaying this option of delaying the reduction of the board to 7 until 2014 has some merit in my idea. Is to think about that more in the context of a 7-person single-member district map that we might be able to reach a consensus about. I just want to give that update. I'll also say, for what it's worth, that Senator Miller did not believe, he said so emphatically, that a 5-person vote, 5-person district map would pass the Senate. And I invite Representative Benfield, Representative Holcomb, both of them there, to add anything to that report, which was a very good public discussion, I thought, about where we were.
Thank you, Representative Stevenson.
Thank you, Representative Oliver, for your report. Has Senator Millar actually dropped the bill?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it general or local?
It's general because it amends Senate Bill 79.
Okay. Do we have a bill number, or do you have a copy of it?
I don't have a copy with me right now.
And did he have a rationale for why he's attempting to amend that bill?
I'll repeat what he said again, and I invite Representative Benfield and Representative Holcomb to add to or correct anything I said. He felt like it offered a compromise. It offered a real opportunity for folks, DeKalb County citizens to vote. I agree with that, by the way. I'm happy for them to vote on whether they wish to reduce the board from 9 to 7. I asked him specifically when he would want to have the referendum, and he didn't have a specific date. In my mind, if we had it November election, we'd get the most number of people voting. But I don't have a firm opinion. I think it offers a compromise and answers some of the questions that people have legitimately fairly raised about whether or not people in DeKalb County wish to reduce the school board size.
Well, when we talk about a referendum, the only one that I've seen was your House Bill 22 that states you're going to stay at 9, go to 7 or 5. So is he going to use that? When we say referendum, who's doing a referendum?
I believe that his bill just goes from 9 to 7 and doesn't offer an option for
The referendum?
it says, do you want to reduce? That's what I understand it says. It does not say, do you want to reduce it to 7 or 9? So it is not the format of 22.
But if his bill mandates it, then when will the people speak to it? And how would that referendum be fashioned?
It would be fashioned in, do you, the voters of DeKalb County, wish to reduce the school board from 9 to 7? And the referendum date, as I said, he did not have a firm date, and I'm open to whenever you think it might be. But the voters would decide that early enough that people then, in 14, would be able to run in any way.
So, then his bill actually suspends Senate Bill 79 and allow for the people to vote. It doesn't mandate a number.
Yes, ma'am. And it delays the implementation for 2 years.
It delays implementation based on the outcome of the referendum.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. That's right.
And I think the other thing that's critical to this option idea is that it gives, it's contingent, I think, on us agreeing to a 7-person single-member district and letting the at-large districts in. I think in 14, if the people of DeKalb County wanted to reduce the board.
Okay. And my final question, I know you stated at the end that Representative, he was here too long, Fran stated that he didn't believe that a 5-member board would pass. Was he referring to the General Assembly or to the public?
To the General Assembly, to the Senate specifically.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to report that this is an idea that has some, in my view, is viable, has some merit. We give people a choice, people of DeKalb County a choice. We have a referendum, and we delay the reduction of the board to 2014, contingent upon the people's vote. And it also requires us to draw a 7-member single-member district. There's one thing that I neglected my error in our last meeting to point out. Senate Bill 79 specifically says 7-member single-member districts. And one critical point, another point says not more than 7. And I think that if we passed a 5-person district, even theoretically, I think that is subject to the interpretation of Senate Bill 79 with the more specific provision controls the more general provisions, or it would be subject to litigation.
Because Representative Oliver raised an important issue. The first part of the law states January 1st, 2012, there's no more than 7. The second part, which was the one that was specifically targeted to DeKalb, even though it involved Rockdale, said that by January 1st, 2013, it would be 7. The problem with why you can't implement it is because we had no referendum, and you can't remove people, so that's the legal entanglement of that portion of it, and that's probably what's driving the suspension, and it's it's a method to resolve all of that by suspending it and then going back and putting in place the pieces that would have to have been in place in order to have in November.
It gives us a chance to clean up some things and to have a referendum. Now, there is a strong contingent in my area, I think I've said this publicly and I'll say it again, that want to have a referendum July 31st, 2012. And I have said that point to y'all before, I think we did it last, I think I said it last week, for the purpose of, in 2012, having a referendum on July 31st, having qualifying after that if the voters of DeKalb County wanted to reduce, and then having the election of 7 people all at once on November 2012. That's still another option that's available to us if we wanted to go forward with 7 people being elected in 2012. 2014 is a compromise option, as I said.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Benfield.
Actually, I was going to just supplement some of what Representative Oliver said, but through the exchange with Representative Stevenson, I think we fleshed out a lot of the discussion this morning. The only thing I would add is I just checked on the internet, maybe somebody else come up, but I didn't see, maybe it's just not on the internet yet, but I don't see Senator Millar's bill. It would be helpful to have a copy of that.
Right, he couldn't drop it until today anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
It wouldn't be on. I know, that's why I wondered within the meetings he could
Representative Mitchell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let me ask you, what is the posture that we are in regards to the local bill that was set, the number of seats? The fact of the matter is, I find it somewhat ironic that we're talking about a statewide solution to a local problem, and when in fact the argument for the numbers of seats is to give local control and community control, and we're talking about giving that power to the rest of the state where most of the folks, if any, would be able to vote for those if they come up with a solution that we don't like. I'm fundamentally opposed to we do this general bill approach. I think it ought to be up to the local citizens so that they can hold folk responsible for it. My understanding of the position that we are in is that if a bill is passed here, we'll go over to the Senate, the local bill, and they can amend it, if so be it. Is that everyone else's understanding?
And I can't believe I'm going to answer this question for you, Representative Mitchell, but Senate Bill 79 was a general bill. It was carried with only 3 members of this delegation. Yes, that is why it has to be suspended as a general bill, as a matter of law. And then, I'm sorry, but when you asked about the local bill, I believe then we're saying that there will be, if we agree, there will be something coming out as a referendum that reflects the local delegation. Am I correct? But I do know that Senate Bill 79 was a general bill that the General Assembly voted on, and I believe 16 of the members of this delegation voted no to.
So we do have a local solution, is my point. And Mr. Chair, I know I made this motion at a prior meeting of this delegation. I'd love to make my motion again when it is appropriate to.
Okay, I got you.
All right.
26, who is it?
I have not signed or actually seen any of the maps until today. Perhaps that's my fault, but I have received hundreds of emails and phone calls, and they are on many, many sides of this issue. So it seems to me that it's a good idea to take a step back and look at some way for the DeKalb County voters to help determine whether we need to reduce the size of the boards to 7. I would agree that they could be 7 single-member districts. It ought to be clear what we're asking them, not 2 choices, but simply 1 choice. But I believe it has become so controversial that fallout would be unfortunate no matter what